Blind Spot, episode 19, In the Comment of Us. I really enjoyed this episode because of the structure of how they did this story. I always kind of like those types of episodes where it's like, this is what was happening to all four of the characters during, every, really big moment of the episode. We also got some pretty interesting flashbacks as well. We got to see some cool stuff with Weller and his dad. We got to see what was going on with Jane and Oscar and how he's kind of realizing he may have stepped, over his boundaries, even though they, obviously had a relationship beforehand. For the sake of the mission, he needs to kind of step back and, really relax. We got to see what was happening with both Reed and Zapata as well. I think Zapata probably had my favorite one because we actually got to see her going to, I guess it's not Gamblers Anonymous, but, she was basically going to, I guess, in a sense, rehab, for her gambling addiction. And we actually got an interesting backstory about kind of what tore her apart really when she was a cop and she was distracted and she just, I guess really she wasn't even distracted. They were just doing their normal job. She just didn't notice that there was a gun and she lost her partner, and the guy that even killed her partner instantly killed himself right there. And it kind of just tore her apart. So I thought that was, obviously it's the saddest one, but it was the one I enjoyed the most because it had the biggest emotional impact. We had some good stuff with Reed as well, which I thought was funny because they have this scene when Zapata comes in. It's like, oh, what's with the bow tie, Bill Nye? And then we got to see the flashback scene where it's like he sees the bow tie. He's like, oh, I hate it, and that's why the guy's like, exactly. So just to change things up. So I thought that was actually pretty funny. But I like the way they did the structure of the episode. I thought it was pretty cool. They go in. It's like, all right, we found these random numbers, and then it's just like, all right, we're doing this case, getting some answers. Reed is the one who actually has the tie-in to the case, or at least their biggest lead. I was like, all right, well, talk to this guy, plain and simple. Then the president, the president of the university, she comes on. It's like, okay, lawyer up, you get out of here, and then just mass chaos, just a crazy shootout starts to happen. When it first started, I thought initially like they were getting a case, and then they were just thrown into a totally random crazy like school shootout situation, but it ultimately does end up being tied together. And like I said, I like the way they kind of played it out, where all the characters were going through their different things, and everyone just has to deal with something really crazy. Like Zapata almost gets killed with the coach. Reed definitely almost got killed with the explosion, as well as so did Weller because he was like right above the floor. So they all went through their own crazy little things, and then it comes down to the end, and we actually get the story as to why these two guys were going around this school, why they set up these bombs, and why they were killing students and stuff, which we find out was actually not meant to be the case, but as the guy said, the students got in their way. But it was because the coach was actually a child molester, and I thought that was a very surprising twist because like they kind of hint at it where it's like, it seemed like the guy was specifically, he was chasing him down. And initially it was like, he could have been chasing him just because they're trying to kill everyone. Like they could just have lost their minds. They're just chasing who they see. And, it was just pretty crazy. I was very surprised by the way they tied it in. And it was actually the coach. And then, we find out afterwards that it was a ton of people. It wasn't just like a couple of people helped hide it. It was like, the president of the university, she did it, supporters, tons of other people did it simply because it helps bring money into the school. And I thought it was a crazy solution, and of course it affected Reed more than anyone because this is a guy that, he trusted like crazy when he was younger. And to know that this guy, someone, and they even mentioned early on, the guy's like, oh, he still helps me out over the summer, when he has time. So this is a guy he stayed in touch with for, years, decades even. And it's just really crazy, like just the way that it affected him by the end of this episode. It was actually very sad, but I really liked the way that they played it. I thought it was a really good episode. I enjoyed, like I said, the style of the storytelling in this one. I thought it was really good. Kind of the reveal of the story, because the whole episode, like I said, when they were first thrown into it, it's like, okay, so it ties into this specific kid in the school, and it's like, it's just a crazy shootout now, and then we find out that the kid is the one shooting up the school, and it's like, okay, so maybe the school was, maybe, the tattoo is leading because he was maybe losing his mind, and just weird stuff. I was trying to figure it out myself, like, how does this connect? Like, he had a scholarship and stuff, and then a drug bust, So it was like, did they know that was gonna happen? Like, it was really weird. Then we find out, everything that happened. It's like, this is exactly why they did it, because it wasn't to prevent anything. It was more to stop the coach than it was to stop the crazy situation. But he led to that situation, and unfortunately, one of the guys got arrested, and the other guy ended up getting killed because Reed couldn't convince him. But a really good episode. Definitely enjoyed it. The other story with Mayfair I thought was pretty good, and she has to deal with just the insanity of the woman she loves coming back from the dead, which is really crazy. And we also get an answer, because it was still a big question in the last episode. Like, is she working with them? Is she not working with them? And it turns out that she's not. She completely faked her death all on her own. She took off, and she's actually been found, and now she needs Mayfair's help to actually escape. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's like, she was never working with them. They found her. I'm assuming they're going to try to kill her, because that seems going to be the case. Just either stop people or kill them so they can't possibly do anything. But I don't know, that big question is still there. Orion, and just everything that they kind of went through. So that information is still hidden, and we still have, two people alive now. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where they take that. It seemed fairly simple at the end of this. I was like, look, I love you. I'll always love you. Here's a bunch of money. Get the F out of here. And she, Mayfair kind of just was like, I don't want anything to do with this. Just go, because I don't want you dead, so I'll help you, but just get out. So I still think that's not going to be the end of it. Of course, it's not going to be the end, but I like the way they played that. It was just like, she was super mad, but she helped her because she still cares about her. And it'll be crazy. It's hard not to instantly help someone, even though that's insane, where it's like, oh, you faked your death, and I thought you've been dead for years now. And poof, here you are. I need a bunch of money, because that's really the only reason I'm here, and I'm out of money and resources. So that has to hurt a little bit. But I like the way they played that as well. So overall, I think this was a really good episode. Fairly sad ending for sure, and like Zapata's moment for her flashback was pretty sad as well. So they had some sad moments in this episode, some sad realizations, and just backstories that we never really had before. So I certainly enjoyed it. Sad moment with Weller and his dad, even though they were kind of making up. His father was like, you don't owe me anything, and kind of going through some of the other stuff where, like, everyone thought he killed Jane and all this other stuff. So there were definitely some sad moments thrown in there. Obviously, the whole story of the coach and stuff was, like, devastating, for very obvious reasons. So it definitely had a lot of sad moments in here, but it was definitely a crazy. It was a very good blend, because it definitely had like crazy adrenaline type moments. Not like a big action movie, but what's going to happen? Who will survive? Because really, I thought a lot of the kids that they were protecting were going to get killed. I figured, our four FBI agents, I was like, they're all going to survive. But I thought there would definitely be a moment where something bad happened, and they like screwed up and lost all the people they were trying to protect, which I thought was going to happen with Reed, because it hadn't happened yet. And I was like, oh, he's the last person. And I knew the bomb thing was coming because of the promo, and I was like, maybe they get killed in the explosion, and that'll be kind of what throws him off by the end of this episode. But thrown off in a very different way, and kind of two ways at once. And he even says it himself, like, he knows it's not really his fault that all that stuff happened, but doesn't make it easier. But it was definitely a good episode. I certainly enjoyed it. Of course, want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and going off into whatever was happening at the end with Carter, like Oscar, and whatever he was doing with the other guy with Carter's body. I definitely want to know where you guys think they're going to be taking kind of the case against Mayfair, and how that's going to kind of affect her, at least by the end of the season. I don't know if it's going to continue on into the next season, because the whole thing is based off a mystery, so who knows what will and won't actually end up happening. But I definitely want to know where you guys think they'll be taking kind of the issues with Mayfair, because not only does she have the sort of crazy mystery group coming after her, we still have the ADA guy who's blackmailing Zapata, and we haven't seen him yet. I thought he was the guy when they were doing the flashbacks. I initially thought that's who was talking to Zapata when she was sitting in the chair, because it was just a close-up of her. I just assumed it was that guy, and it's like, oh no, she's doing a thing. So we haven't seen him in a while, really. I think since I guess it was only the last episode or the one before last, but even that was just like a little thing. Like, I followed you basically because you're an asset. It really didn't have anything to do with I need this done or that done against Mayfair. So I'm sure he'll be coming up very soon because we don't have too many episodes left. But like I said, I want to know where you guys think they'll be taking kind of the case against her from both sides of the fence, both the weird mystery group as well as the ADA guy. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.